Welcome back to the 2008 Aussie Millions Cash Game Invitational. Once again, I'm Barry Tompkins alongside my partner Howard Lederer. Let's take a look at the current standings. We've got half our table in the black, and Patrick Antonius still our big winner, while his would-be traveling companion, Phil Ivey, has a lot of catching up to do. Well, the blinds $400 and $800, the ante $100. First action with John Juanda in this hand. And he'll throw away a queen nine. The Lesra likewise won't play. Nor will Antonius. But Phil Ivey will play, it appears.
Wow, it seems like that six-deuce offsuit has a hypnotizing effect on some of our players. We've seen that hand played twice. I really have no explanation for that.
Tony G calls. Now Chris Ferguson, who also will call with a king eight. Gus Hansen checks his option. So 4 players to the flop. On the flop, king, queen, 9, and Ferguson has paired his king.
Well, Ferguson decides to let someone else bet his hand. Gus checks also.
Now Phil Ivey, and he's going to make it 3,000 with a 6-deuce.
Well, he's got complete air. He's obviously going to get at least called by Chris.
Tony G laid his hand down. Now Ferguson.
One would expect, well, he just calls. He could have raised there. Probably would have won the pot.
Hansen folds, so to the turn.
Ivey's drawing dead to runners.
9 of diamonds on the turn. And a check from Ferguson.
You see 100% there next to Chris's hand. Unless he folds, he's going to win this hand.
And Ivey's going to make it 8,000.
Can't really see Chris folding here for 8. He calls.
And it doesn't look like Phil Ivey is thrilled to see that call. And an ace of spades on the river. So Ferguson in great shape.
Yeah, but that's a bit of an ugly card, Barry. You never like seeing that overcard come out there, particularly when you have a king in your hand. A lot of hands that Ivey might have been pushing there might have had an ace in it. Any of those gut shot straight draws, ace-jack or ace-10 for sure.
Well, Ivey has made it 25,000 with just a 6 high.
Well, Ivey's fired the 3rd bullet here on this 3-street bluff. Ferguson surely beat unless Ivey is bluffing. Wow, he lays it down.
And Phil Ivey picks up more than $50,000 on a stone-cold bluff.
Great play by Ivey. Well, if you're going to play a 6-deuce offsuit, that's how you do it. He looks pretty satisfied with himself.
Well, we've all become pretty used to seeing that man rake in the chips. In fact, many believe he may be the best of all time.
Phil Ivey works harder than everybody else. He tries harder, and he's as talented as anybody out there.
Phil Ivey's probably the top player in the world today.
I don't know, he's just scary. He plays all the games really well. He's terrifying.
Best player in the world.
A great cash game player, you have to know when to go in for the kill.
Calling.
It's kind of more of a feel thing. You have to know when it's time to stay and play longer, when you should quit. You have to really get to know yourself and get to know your opponents.
His focus is unparalleled. It's his approach to the game. I mean, he's played so many hours, and he just understands how to be full-out aggressive, but at the same time, he knows when to back off.
You just have to go to battle with him and try to eke out your edges as much as you can, because he's going to apply pressure at all times.
Set him up. Do a lot of flat calling, a lot of limping, investing a lot of little chips to try and set him up for a big pot. That's all you can do. You try and play power poker against him, you're
Am I the best cash game player? It comes down to how you're playing at the time, you know? It's not something that's tangible. It's not something you can just answer and say, you know, I'm the best or he's the best. It's just day in and day out, you know, I get the job done.
Well, I think it might be a bit premature to talk about Phil as the best of all time. His career is a bit young, but the best right now, I think we can start having that conversation.
Let's go to gamble. Let's go to shoot dice.
Okay.
Let's leave these guys.
I make money to gamble. That's why. That's my whole life. Some people make money to save it.
Yeah, I know.
And right there in microcosm, you have the story of Phil Ivey. He's a player. Action starts with a letter. He folds. Antonius with a king-9 suited. And he's going to raise it up to 2,500. Phil Ivey looking at a 7-deuce suited.
Well, that's a fine hand compared to the last hand he played, Barry.
And it appears he's going to play it the same way. He raises to 8,500. And a fold. And another fold.
Well, it looks like Phil's finding another gear here. He'd been awfully quiet for the first little bit after he sat down.
And the action back to Antonius, who makes the call. So 2 players to the flop, 2 very good players. On the flop, 3 tens.
Well, this is actually just the flop that Ivey was looking for. He represented a big hand before the flop. So now it looks like he's going to bet. Yes, he bets 11,000. 3 tens, unlikely to have helped Antonius's hand. Either he had a pair that he's willing to go with, or he has a hand like the one he had. He's just going to have to lay that king high down. Well played by Ivey.
9-10.
Man.
Explain me one thing. How do you always wake up with the hand when I raise?
I get a lot of big hands.
Well, big hands or just a 7 high. It all works the same for Phil Ivey.